Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and welcome back to the Bridge to Mastery mini-series that we've been doing. This is day number 5. You've already proven that you can be consistent. You've already proven that you have what it takes to put yourself first. And this mini-series is intended to move you from consistency to capability. It's intended to move from intention to action. And today we're going to spend some time talking about implementation intentions, how to turn your intentions into action. I'm glad that you're here. We are working on a better version of ourselves. We are building, we are growing, we're working on being more consistent, and we're working on living with this new person that we've created. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and let's get started. I'll see you on the walk. Hey, and welcome back, welcome back. We are on day number 105. Can you believe that? That's right, 105 in this mini-series. And we've been talking about self-efficacy. And remember, our working definition of self-efficacy is the belief, the evidence-based belief, by the way, that our intentions, our decisions, the behaviors that we do, and our consistency are able to make changes in our space, in our lives, and to set us up and make us move in the direction of success. And so that's our working definition. And so over the last several episodes, we've been talking about, first we defined it, then we talked about things that would sabotage it. We also talked, in this episode, we're talking about how do we move from intention to action, and how that is very important in what we do as we move into the space of success and as we work on success. So you've probably heard, well, and then last episode, I guess I forgot to say that, our last episode we talked about the internal versus external locus of control, right? So taking charge, taking responsibility for the things that go on in our lives and for the things that happen to us. Now here's the crux though. We have self-efficacy, and self-efficacy is based on data, and we're always working on creating the data that we need. And the problem is that belief without structure, belief without action, can still cause a problem. One of the things that we have talked about, one of the pillars of limitless living, is this idea of rhythm, alignment, and structure. And that structure part there is not by accident. You can have rhythm, you can have alignment, but if you don't have structure, then that structure, once again, or that lack of structure will cause us problems. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do. You've probably had times where you decided that you were going to do something. You were going to eat well that day or that week. You were going to walk. You're going to wake up. You were going to do whatever you needed to do for your health. But then life took over. Life got a hold of you, and it didn't quite go the way you planned. And often we think that is because we did not have the right motivation. We didn't have the right vision. We didn't have self-control. We weren't strong enough. And often it has nothing to do with any of that. And it has to do with the fact that you did not have something in place to help that process happen when motivation waned. Because remember, motivation is wane. It will wane. But structure is what is key in those situations. And your intentions never turned into action. So you wanted to do those things. You intended to do those things. You were going to do those things. But because there was no structure, then there was no place for those to be, for you to be consistent and for you to have success there. And when that happens, remember the inner critic is grabbing onto those. And so we are always in the process of finding data points that we can hand off to our inner coach and that we could put into our I can journal. Remember, I can do this, I can do that, I can succeed, I can lose weight, I can control my blood sugars, I can make myself healthy. I can is what we want because those are the data points that the inner coach will use. So what we want to do is we want to set up a routine. We want to set up a structure that will trigger our behavior even when motivation is not there, even when life happens, even when we don't feel like it, even when there's an obstacle that comes on. Those trigger points will help us. That's where implementation intentions come. Right? That's the key to what we're going to be doing. And so implementation intentions are basically, if I had to define them, I'm going to give you a structure of an implementation intention. These are simple tools, simple rules, and that are written in the if-then format. If such and such happens, then I will do this. So if I am tired, I will get up and I will move around. If I don't feel like waking up in the morning, right, then I will do such and such. For example, if I feel stressed at work, then I will take a deep breath and do some deep breathing for 3 minutes. So what you're doing is you're creating an anticipatory response given a particular stimulus, given a particular trigger. So you're not leaving it to chance. You've decided what you're going to do. If I'm stressed, I'm going to drink water. If I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to take a minute to go outside, go for a walk. You are creating that if-then loop. And what you're doing is you're training your brain to automatically go there. It's like an algorithm that I don't have to come up with it at the time that I need it, because I've already done that. I've already created that structure and it's listed. And maybe it's written on the refrigerator. Maybe it's written on my desk at work. I've got it in my calendar and I'm rehearsing it. And as part of my daily routine, I'm looking over that because I want to make sure that it is present in my mind. I want to make sure that it's top of my mind, because if I don't, then I'm going to default to some other behaviors. One of the things that we've talked briefly about is what's called the COPE model: clarify, observe, pause, and execute. And the pause in that COPE model allows me to take a moment to consider other options. It allows me to give my amygdala some time to overshadow, to give my, prefrontal cortex some time to overshadow my amygdala and allow it to choose a behavior or an action that's different from what I normally do. And this is a perfect place for those intentional intentions, right? This is a perfect place, because what I've done is I've created a bag of other things that I can do, and I've just given a rule to it. So in my bag, I may have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever it is, number of tools that I can use. I can drink water, I can go for a walk, I can do deep breathing, I can do visualization, I can do a calming technique, I can do some yoga, I can do some stretching, whatever it is. I have all those tools in my bag, and what I've just done is I've given them a trigger. If this happens, then I'll do this. If that happens, then I'll do number 2. If this happens, I'll do number 3. And I've created those so that they are automatic. So it doesn't matter if I'm frustrated. It doesn't matter if I'm mad. It doesn't matter if I'm motivated. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. The trigger happens and I automatically go into that behavior or go into that action. Does that make sense? So if I feel stressed at work, then I'll take a 3-minute, 3-breath deep breathing. If I crave something sweet, then I'll drink some water. If it's 7 o'clock at night, then I will put my walking clothes on, or 7 o'clock in the morning. Whatever time it is, whatever your trigger is going to be. This kind of planning turns decisions into automatic behavior. So I no longer have to negotiate with myself at that time. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to tell myself, oh, I should do this, but I'm not doing, right? You don't have to go through that. It's already there. And that's the beauty of routine. That's the beauty of the things that we do that automates our behavior. Remember we talked about the neuroplasticity and making it automatic. That's the beauty of routine and the beauty of repetition. One of the things that consistency does is it creates automatic repetition. So when you do something over and over and over and over and over, it becomes almost like a rote memory. I shouldn't say almost, it becomes a rote memory, and those synapses are connecting, and they allow you to go through that process without even sometimes thinking about it. The trigger happens and boom, there we are. We're in the process of doing that thing, okay? And automatic responses protect your self-efficacy because they allow you to be more successful more often, because you're not depending on just chance. You're not depending on, actually you're not depending on you, right? So the brain goes into gear and everything just falls into place. You don't have to talk to yourself and tell yourself, oh, let me do this now. And you don't have to come up with a way to get yourself to do it, because you've already decided beforehand that this is how it's going to work. This is what we're going to do. This is how things are going to be. All right. And then, so why does this work? Why does this work? It works for several reasons. Number one, it works because it takes willpower out of the equation. Now, I know a lot of behavioral changes have been hinged on willpower. That is, if a person was strong enough, then they wouldn't eat. If they were powerful enough, if they had enough willpower, motivation, then they would exercise. And we've blamed a lot of that on the willpower, but really it is a function of structure. If you have the right structure, it doesn't matter. If it is automatic, if you've set these rules up, then it becomes, it comes out of your hand. So you no longer have to blame it on willpower. You no longer need willpower in it because the rules have been created. It also reduces friction in your decision making. Anytime there is something that we want to do that our body or our mind or our emotions or circumstances, situation, for some reason is telling us that we can't do, we shouldn't do, we won't do, we're not going to do, we're not going to be successful, then friction automatically happens. And whenever friction happens, then we will do the thing that is automatic. We will do the thing that is easiest. Remember, our brain doesn't want to have to go through all those contortions. It doesn't want to have to make those decisions. And so in that moment, the simplest thing is what it's going to do. And often the simplest thing is not what you have decided to do. It is, that is the change that you're trying to make. And the simplest thing is to fall back into the behavior that, that was what we were before. Remember, we've changed who we are. We've changed how we behave. We've changed how we think. But if we constantly create friction, then that friction is going to derail the decisions that we've made, okay? So our goal is not that. Our goal is to say, hey, what can I do as much as possible to reduce friction? So these implementation intentions will help us to decrease the friction that we find ourselves having. And it teaches your brain that you follow through even when it's not convenient, even when you're tired, even when whatever, even when. Right? It teaches the brain. And what does that do? That builds self-efficacy. Because remember, self-efficacy is based on evidence, and evidence of our success. Right? Our success is one of the key things. Our ability to complete is one of the key things that grows our self-efficacy. And guess what? Guess what? It builds belief, it builds trust, it builds identity, and all of that leads to self-efficacy. So you're not hoping to succeed. You are planning, you're programming yourself to succeed. Isn't that great? Isn't that amazing? That I can beforehand program myself to be successful. I don't have to wait for the situation. I may not even know what the situation is, but I'm programming myself prior to that situation coming up. I'm programming myself to be successful. And that is the space that we want to be in. We want to automate the process as much as possible, because if we can do that, we take all of those, those things out of the running. We don't no longer have to wait. We don't no longer have to hope. One of the things that I talk about with my patients in the office is they say, well, I was hoping that my A1C was better. And I asked them, well, why were you hoping? Why don't you know whether it's better? I was hoping my weight went down. Why don't you know? I was hoping such and such. And often that's because either they're not checking their blood sugar or they don't do the prediction, or they're not getting on the scale, right? Because that scale number scares them. That's a whole nother conversation, right? But don't hope, don't wish. Put things in place that will get you success as much as possible. So what are some real world applications where you need structure? Let's go ahead and see if we can create some of these, or talk about some of them. Number one would be temptation triggers. Temptation triggers. And when we talk about food, right, which is a big one for a lot of people, there are 4 things that will push people to eat, 4 trigger areas. They are the habits that we form. They are the emotions that drive us. They are the things that are around us, so access to different foods. And then taste. So the things that we remember, the things that we did before that seem to bring us calm, that seem to bring us the ability to deal with things, that seem to buffer the feelings that we have so we can avoid them. So those are major triggers. So anytime there is a temptation trigger, that will cause, that can cause us to get derailed. The other thing is when we are, just checking my camera there, when we have energy dips. And this one is a big one for me, or recently has been a big one for me, because I've been staying up a little later than I should. And when that happens, when the energy dips, that will take us off of our plan, particularly eating, particularly savings, a relationship, all of those things that falls into the emotional section. There are frustration points, once again, emotions, and there are habit-breaking time slots, particular times of the day when it seems like, okay, this is one of those where it always seems to happen, and that tends to be one of those routines, right? That's the habits. So heat, H-E-A-T, and you can apply heat to anything: habits, emotions, access, and taste. You pick one of the things, whatever it is: saving money, building your relationships, eating, your weight, doing your stuff at work, being consistent. It will fall into one of those categories: habits, emotions, access, and taste. That's where the triggers come that will threaten to derail us. Those are the perfect places that you want to implement and institute implementation intentions. So here's a prompt. When whatever it is, when I find it's that time of the day, when everybody's going to lunch, when I find that we've had that meeting, when I find that and you plug whatever it is into that spot, then I will, what is the action you're going to take? What is the new behavior you're going to have that replaces the old one? So implementation intention. This isn't just about behavioral change, right? So we're not just leading or shooting for behavioral change. What we want to do is we want to create a system, a versatile system that continues to work with us, and we could expand this into whatever area we find ourselves working in that space. Right now, we're working on weight, we're working on blood sugar, we're working on health, we're working on limitless living. Let's go ahead and let's apply it, right? So find some ifs, thens that you can use in that space. So here's, as we walk, we're coming to our challenge here in just a little while, but here are some thoughts, here's some questions I want you to answer. What is one habit or action you consistently struggle with for follow-through? All right, walk through that process in your mind. Maybe write it down. What's one area? What usually gets in the way? Is it a habit? Is it emotion? Is it access to stuff? Is it taste? What is it? Habits, emotions, access, and taste. What usually gets in the way? And can you name a situation that triggers the breakdown? Do you have one in mind right now? I can think of one right now. Right? Let me tell you. For me, so I do a fast once a week, and that's been, wow, I'm not even sure how long now we've been doing that. So I do a fast once a week, and the most difficult time for me is not one of hunger. It's not like I'm hungry and I'm starving. It is when I see other people eating. When my team at work goes to lunch, when I come home at night and my wife is preparing, we got Taco Tuesday, she's preparing tacos, or I see my family sitting down. Those are my triggers. Those are my times. I've tell people sometimes, even when I'm at the end of my fast, I'm not really hungry. But the moment I see somebody else eating, then I start to have that craving. So what is it for you? And what can you do? What can you do? What implementation intention can you put into that space? Right, so what I do is if I get triggered when it's lunchtime, then I go to my office and I get something to drink. It's automatic. I get up and I go. It's not, okay, I'm gonna go in a minute. It's not, okay, let me do that later. It's not, okay, maybe I don't have to do it this time. It is what I do. So whenever that happens, you'll see me get up, go to my office. I'm like, hey, where's he going? Well, I'm going to get something to drink. Because that's my thing, okay? So begin putting those into place. And, don't settle. It's kind of like I have some alarms on my phone. And sometimes you'll set an alarm and it'll go off. So for whatever reason, all right, you'll set an alarm for some event and the alarm will happen and then you'll say, okay, I'm gonna go take care of that in a minute. You know what that does? It trains the mind to say, well, that alarm is not that important. So when we put these implementation intentions, even for that moment where you say, okay, this time I'm okay, follow through with the implementation intention. Go through it because it is a learning process. It is your body getting used to that. So don't say, okay, this time I don't have to do it. Because what's going to happen is the next time your brain will say, okay, we didn't do it last time, we probably don't have to do it this time. Right? So that's not what we want. We want to continue following through because these routines are becoming automated. They are building neuroplasticity. They're building a consistent pattern in our minds, and that, after all, is what we want. We want to make sure that we are automating it, and we don't want to short circuit it by one time saying, I don't have to do it, and then the brain is like, okay, sure, let's not do it this time, we won't do it next time either, okay? All right, so some quick examples. Let's go ahead and let's come up with some quick examples and some things that may happen to you that you can then use implementation intentions to deal with. Well, number one, if I feel too tired to walk, then I will take a 5-minute stretch. If I'm too tired to walk, I'll take a 5-minute stretch. And usually when you take a stretch, guess what? You feel like walking. So that's a good one, right? Because we've been walking. And that will help you in the morning when you get up and don't feel like you want to go somewhere. If I forget to plan dinner, then I'll default to my healthy bites, my balanced bite meal, my default meal, which means what? Means you have to have thought about a balanced bite meal that's going to be your default, so that in the moment you don't have to decide. Because I'll tell you, if I'm hungry, when I decide, it's not going to be, it's not going to be the things that are probably healthy for me. I'll want to do it, but my intention doesn't turn into action. And this is where the implementation intention happens, right? So I'm going to create a default meal, and that's the meal I'm going to have. If someone offers me something off my plan, then I have a response. Thank you. Right now, I am okay. Boom, done. Right? So you create the words. Otherwise, you're trying to create the words, you him and ha, and sometimes it's easier to not just say anything and just take it and eat it because that's simpler, right? We will default, like I said, to what is simple, what's easiest, and that is not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we are being successful in all the spaces where we find ourselves. So make sure that you are not just trying to create that in the moment. So those are some real ones. If I miss a day of walking, if I miss a day of exercising, if I miss a day when we start our new series, if I miss a day during this mini series, then I am not going to allow 2 days to happen. All right, that's one. So that already says, okay, I may miss a day for whatever reason, but I'm not going to let it turn into 2 days. I already have a plan. Otherwise, our brain will say, man, you missed yesterday? Well, you know what? Let's just hang out today. Let's not do it again today. And then 1 day turns into 2 days, 2 days turns into 3 days, 3 days turns into 4 days, and boom, right? So I'm not going to let 2 days go by without me walking. So that's an implementation intention. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to predict. You need to predict what you're going to do when that next thing happens. What is going to be the next step? And sometimes for that, here's a good point to be made, you don't have to even come up with the whole plan. All you have to know is what is my next step. When this happens, this is going to be my next step. That takes me out of that situation. That moves me beyond that situation, moves my thoughts. It changes my behavior, changes my actions, because I already have a plan, the next step. Now, I recommend coming up with a complete plan, but even if you don't remember the complete plan, at least remember what the next step is going to be, because that is going to set you up for the best possibility of success, right? So, we can't ever go away without challenges, but this is a good one. This is one of those rubber meet the road conversations, right? This is practical. So it is a tool that you can begin using right now, which is what we're about to talk about as we do our challenge. So go ahead and grab your journal, because remember, we're always doing our journal. So pick one behavior that you want to follow through on this week. One behavior you want to follow through on this week. It's drinking water, it's waking up in the morning, it's eating one healthy thing, it is cutting out one soda, it is whatever it's going to be. What is the thing you're going to do? And you want to pick one for this week. Name the situation that tends to throw you off. What is it? What is the trigger? Habits, emotions, access, and taste, right? Which one is it? And find the specific trigger within your space. I guess let's walk down. Oh, no, we'll go this way. All right, so what is it going to be? And then you want to create an if-then statement. So you found the thing that gives you the problem, you identified the trigger, and now you're going to create an if-then statement. Write it, say it, practice it. Say it out loud. If I face resistance, I will respond with readiness. If I feel weak, I will act with strength. If I am challenged, I will rise to the occasion. If I'm triggered, I'm going to drink water. If I'm frustrated, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk. If I am irritated, if I'm tired, I'm going to do deep breathing. What is it that you're going to do? Go ahead and begin putting that into if-then statements, and then practice them. Say them out loud. Say them out loud, and then I want you to write these three that I just told you down at the bottom, right? So if I face resistance, I will respond with readiness. If I feel weak, I will act with strength. If I am challenged, I will rise to the occasion. Because what we're doing is we're putting a rule to the triggers, because the triggers are going to happen. Trust me, they're going to happen. But when they happen, if you have put these implementation intentions in place, then you have a space to go. You have something that your brain to grab onto. Otherwise, it will grab onto the easiest thing, and sometimes the easiest thing is not the best thing, because it will be the thing that's off of your plan, the thing that is derailing you. Remember, self-efficacy thrives on data. It is evidence-based. And so we always are in the process of finding evidence for our inner coach, to support our inner coach. Now, we've talked about the I Can journal. So this week, right, just in addition to your challenge, I want you to find something that you've done over the last day or a couple of days, and I want you to put that in your intention journal or I Can journal. Right, so each day, right, I want you to be on the lookout. So what is something that you can add to the I Can journal? Because we're trying to grow that journal. We're trying to make that journal as big as possible. We're trying to make that as expansive as possible. We're trying to make that something that your inner coach can run to at any moment and grab something to help you in the process of dealing with the inner critic, right? It is your motivation. It is the place that you want to go. So remember, self-efficacy isn't about feeling motivated. It's about putting in place implementation intentions. They help you to be ready before the situation happens. Tomorrow, we're going to talk more about continuing on this bridge to mastery, because we're moving from consistency to capability. We're moving from wanting to living in this new person, in this new structure, in this new idea that we have created. Thank you for being with me. Limitless Living says we're not allowing anything from outside or from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. We're moving, we're growing. Join me tomorrow for day number 106. I'll see you on the walk. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. And as we approach the end of our 100-day walk to consistency and health, I want to pause and invite you to look ahead. Because what we've built together is just the beginning of an even more powerful journey. Over the past 100 days, you've developed a habit. You've developed resistance, resilience. You've developed strength, and things that form the cornerstone of your success. Now, as we close this chapter, I'm excited to share that our next series is on the horizon that's going to build on everything that you've learned so far. In the upcoming series, we want to dive deeper into advanced strategies that harness your newly cultivated strengths, refine your mindset, and elevate your strategic thinking. Imagine transforming daily consistency into an unstoppable force that propels you to tackle even greater challenges with confidence. My vision for the next phase is simple: to empower you not only to sustain your current success, but to channel it into innovative strategies that drive you past these impacts that you've had to more lasting, more fulfilling impacts. We've explored how to leverage your inner strength and channel it into areas of leadership, creativity, and advanced personal growth. And we're going to go further. The habits you form are the foundation on which you can build a life of limitless potential. Every lesson, every win, every setback during the past 100 days has prepared you for what's next. Think of today as a bridge where the consistency and the discipline that you've mastered become a stepping stone towards a future when strategy meets mindset. In the next series, it's designed to help you integrate these principles to every aspect of your life, making your progress both sustainable and exponential. I invite you to stay tuned and actively participate as we embark on this new chapter. Reflect on your journey so far and consider the way that you can take these lessons to the next level. Let's step into the future together. Thank you for being part of this transformative journey. Your growth, resilience, and commitment are what this community needs. Get ready to embrace the next series, where your strengths, strategy, and mindset will propel you to even greater heights. Stay tuned, and I'll see you as we begin this exciting new chapter together.